Well, hello everyone. TheOntarioGardener here, back with another PlateUp Back to Basics guide. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about tables. As you see in front of you, there are actually 6 tables in the game. And I'm going to talk to you about what each one would be used for, the benefits of each one, the negatives of each one. And yeah, so of the 6 tables, the only table you can't serve food on is the coffee table. So let's get that out of the way first. Coffee tables can hold 4 customers. They can be combined with other coffee tables to expand to 6, 7, 8, however numbers it is, but they do combine with each other, so you can't put them next to each other unless you're wanting to have a table that's larger than 4, or depending on your layout, if you're trying to wedge it into a corner or something. But what a coffee table basically does is when a customer's waiting outside, they have an outside patience bar. When it becomes nighttime, raining, or snowing, that patience bar goes down very quickly. So a coffee table basically allows a customer to come in, sit down at the coffee table, their patience meter will reset, and this is now an indoor patience meter, which has nothing to do with the time of the day or the weather. It adds an extra patience bar to the customer. So they're very, very good, especially if you have a lot of customers and they're coming in fast, or if you have a rush card or closing time. Having a bunch of coffee tables can really help you because you don't lose that outdoor patience. Now, the downside with the coffee tables, they take up a lot of space if you have multiple ones of those. And also, if you have a coffee table, you lose the outdoor patience bar in general. So a good way to kind of time things is if you have people waiting outside, great. They have a patience bar. When they then come in and sit down, they have another patience bar. And then when they go to the table, they'll have another patience bar. So if you can kind of strategize to always have a couple people outside, and like kind of have a certain amount of coffee tables where someone's always waiting outside, not a long time, but to have that extra time, a coffee table would be great for that. Now, let's move along to the other 5 tables. Your wood table here, which is your basic dining, you can't see that. Your basic dining table. It seats 4. It combines with every other type of generic dining table to expand them, etc., etc. Now, the best thing about these is when you start your game, you're going to be started with anywhere between 1 and 4 tables based on the size of your layout. And it's very good because you don't have to pay for them. They're not very expensive when you buy them. They're only, the generic cost. These are considered a staple item, so you will start getting some of them as drops early on. You can always see them on blueprint desks, etc., etc. Now, the downside of these is there's no positive. That's the downside. There's nothing that you get out of a generic table other than that the table exists for people to sit at. That's it. But in order to get any of these other 4 tables, you need to have a basic table. It's called dining table blueprint. Put this into your blueprint cabinet, research it, and you'll get one of these 4 tables in return. Now, tables do not cycle like mixers and bins and sinks do now. Tables do not do that. So it's always an RNG luck about which table you get, and whichever one you get, you have to deal with. Now, the one to the immediate left is a bar table. Now, the thing with the bar table is that you can't see this, but it removes the thinking phase. So as soon as someone sits down, they're going to order, or they're thinking about ordering right away. It can only seat 1, but it also does not combine with other tables. But it has to be oriented in a certain manner so that the chair is always going to be on the back side, if you will, of the table. No matter which way you turn it, it'll always be facing one way, and you can't change that. It always is facing one way. Now, what's good about this is you can wedge this next to each other. They don't combine with each other. So if you have individual dining and you have 8 of these lined up along a window, or 6 of them or something, they could be next to each other. They won't combine with each other, and it works similar to an instant ordering, not the same mechanic, but reduces waiting for them to order or their thinking time. Let's turn it back here. Now, where would you use this? I don't know. I personally never use bar tables, to be honest with you, because I always have 1 to 2 groups. If you have individual dining, by the time you get that card, I usually have other tables here that provide a better bonus than this. But it's very valuable. It is very usable. It's harder to automate because of, it takes up the same amount of space as a regular table. So if you're automating, you still have to run belt in between these to grab the plates, etc., etc. So bar tables are good for something like individual, not instant ordering, individual dining they're good for, or if you're cramped with space. They also don't use table consumables. So if you're one to use breadsticks or candles or napkins, you can't use this table for that. So to me, this would be my least favorite of the 3 upgrades from the basic table. The next one that I would find useful is probably this one. This table is the fancy tablecloth, which provides extra money, 50% more paying, but it does combine with other tables. So the best part about this is it gives you more money. That's basically the only benefit of this table. 50% more money. But again, if you have, say, 3 of these tables, 4 of these tables, then that's 200% extra income. If you look at it in that regard, you're getting, because you have 4 of them at 50% each one's bringing in 50% more. That means 200% more at the end of the day. They do combine with each other. So again, you can have extended tables of these, but otherwise that's really the only benefit of these. Now the next one I'm going to go up to would be the metal table. Now metal tables used to be the best gold standard table upgrade, because before the update, the release update, is metal tables would not combine with each other. So you could have a whole row of them and they would not combine with each other at all. Now they do combine, like every other table except this table in the bar. The other 2 tables combine. The metal table also combines. But that's okay, because metal tables, you don't need to serve sides. So if you have a run going and you have 2, 3, 4 sides, and you can get metal tables, you don't have to serve sides at all anymore. But the negative of that is that it has 50% less waiting and eating thinking patience, which means is as soon as you take someone's order, you gotta serve them, or they're going to be unhappy quickly. It's a debuff, or a buff in a sense, from it used to be 25%, now it's 50%. So it's a bit of a hike, but they are still very good tables. If you can manage your patience well and you have a bunch of sides, use these. But if you don't have patience, if you don't have sides, then don't take metal tables. There's zero benefit to have it if you're not serving sides. Now the next one, which has become almost not OP, but a really good table, is the simple tablecloths. The only downside with the simple tablecloth is the fact that you can see it has 200% longer thinking phase. That's the only negative. Well, there's 2 negatives. That's one negative, because it takes a lot longer for them to think about what they want to eat. If you have instant ordering, that is reduced, but it's not eliminated. But the beauty of these tables is this here. I'll show you. Is they don't combine with each other. So you could line these up like a bar table, but still serve 2 people. That's one great thing about these. The second great thing is you only need to serve 1 dish. If you have 2 people sitting here, they will always order the same thing, and you have to only serve 1 dish, which means 1 plate, 1 steak, 1 salad, etc., which means you only have 1 dish to do, one dirty dish, but you also get paid for both dishes. So this is a very powerful table. The only negative, there's a couple of negatives. One is it takes a bit longer for them to order, but again, not a big deal. But the other negative is that they have to sit across from each other. They can't sit on the corners. And even if you combine tables like this, you're actually not combining them. You can't turn these off, because now you're back to a 1-to-1. Granted, if you have individual dining, this table is irrelevant, because you're serving one, and it's taking you then longer to think about it, and you're still only serving 1 dish. So the only way you would use these tables is if you'd have your group sizes are group 1 to 2. If you have larger groups, if you have the group sizes 2 to 4, and you get a group of 3 or group of 4, you can put these next to each other, and it doesn't do anything. So these tables they're very situational, very situational. But I find they're quite powerful, especially later in the game. If you have, complex dishes like salads or even pies or something where you have a lot of different options, you only have to serve 1 dish, which is a huge buff in my opinion. So if you're looking for tables in general, if you're looking for tables that bring in more money, go with the fancy tablecloth. If you don't really care about any of that, stick to your normal ones, which I typically do. If you have individual dining, or you want to cram a bunch of tables together, again, that can only seat 1, use a bar table. If you want to negate having sides altogether with tables that combine, use metal tables. They're still very powerful, despite them having a 50% patience debuff to them now, compared to 25%, which I had before. If you're looking for something where you only have to serve 1 dish, if you consistently have groups of 2, use this. But again, you do have higher thinking time. It takes them a bit longer to decide what they want, but you also are going to get paid for both. And then the coffee table isn't a table where you can make money off of, but it does help bring in customers from outside because indoor patience goes down significantly less than outdoor patience, especially when it becomes nighttime and or if it's raining or snowing during nighttime. The outdoor patience goes down so fast, but if you have a coffee table and they can come and sit inside, their patience goes down significantly slower. So I'm always a fan of coffee tables. If you can get them, sometimes they don't drop very much. Sometimes they drop all the time, or you can copy them all the time, etc., etc., etc. So I want to thank you guys for joining me in this little video about tables, the benefits, the negatives, and just overall what my opinion is on tables. They're very situational. Typically, I just pick the generic dining table. I never upgrade them. But I have done runs where I've had all metal tables and I've had 4 sides and didn't have to serve any of them, and it went very, very quickly. If you're hurting for money, go with one like this. If you're not hurting for space, if you're playing multiplayer, I'd go for simple, because if you have someone in the dining room, you can serve all these tables. You can hit them from the back like this. You can pick up the dishes from the back, even if there's a chair here. And yeah, it works very, very well for that. Again, quite situational. But for me, basically do what fits your run. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're enjoying this content, please consider leaving a subscribe to my channel. We'd much appreciated. If you enjoyed this video specifically, please consider leaving a like as well as a comment. I always enjoy reading my comments and interacting with my fans and my supporters, and I always respond back either with a thumbs up, a heart, or a personalized comment right back to you. So once again, thank you so much for joining me, and catch you next time with another Back to Basics PlateUp guide. Take care now.